Hey guys, so today what we're going to actually do is we're going to set up this nice little I2P button here, and this is going to open an I2P browser, a dedicated profile for I2P to help compartmentalize your activities away from other browsing activities, and it automates everything for you. And so what it does is when you click on that button on your browser, now I specifically had it open in a terminal, and that was just so I could monitor for any issues, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. I still suggest doing it, but as you can see, it automatically started everything. I didn't have to start I2P Router first because the button itself starts I2P Router for you. And in fact, when you close this browser here, LibreWolf, a privacy-focused fork of Firefox, with its own dedicated I2P profile, which I also share on the Gitya Onion. So I share everything you need right on the Gitya Onion, all the files you need. And what you'll do to set this up is, and I'm going to go through the whole process with you, is you take this, which is the I2P browser profile, and first you'll want to copy all of these files to your system. And what you'll do in order to do that is, as you can see here, Torify, first have the Tor router started, and then after you start the Tor client, which is, apt install Tor or pacman install Tor, you'll do Torify git clone, and it'll copy all of these files. Now you don't have to go through that like I just mentioned. You can actually download it right here by simply going to download repository, and then you'll be able to download the files that way and extract them and then place them where they need to be. I started a README in order to help people along who may not be following this video and may discover it in another place. And so what we'll do to create this, and in fact once I close out the I2P browser here, it'll stop the I2P router. I know a lot of people aren't interested in running I2P router 24 hours a day, and that could be for a number of reasons. And for those people, this automatically closes and stops the I2P router when you're finished. So let's go ahead and close it, and I'll show you what I mean. So as we can see, this is the actual terminal. So all you really need to do is close the browser. You don't have to worry about the terminal. Go ahead and hit close, and as you'll see here, it says stopping I2P service, and then it's all gone. And so it's kind of like the way Tor Browser works in that it's automated. It'll start the I2P router for you. You simply click on this button and you have a working I2P browser. So the first step to getting this set up on your own system is to make a copy of your LibreWolf shortcut here. So what you would do there is you would make a copy, and then you would just simply paste it here. And what you would do is replace it, is what I'm doing since I already have it. And so now I have a fresh copy. And what I'm going to do is go right click, go to properties, and then what you're going to do is set the launcher to say /user/bin/start I2P. You can also make sure this is run in a terminal, in that you will be able to see if there's any problems. And so once you do that, you set it to /user/bin/start I2P. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to create this file /user/bin/start I2P. And how you're going to do that is, after you've downloaded the repository, I already have it set up for you. So the start I2P is already written for you, and the only thing you're going to need to do is move it to /user/bin, and then you're going to set it and make it executable. And you can do that with the command chmod +x /user/bin/start I2P, and that'll make it executable. And you'll have everything ready to go for that. And after you do that, I want you to take the browser profile I shared, and we're going to copy that into a location. The location would be /home/ your username on your Linux system. And once you do that, .LibreWolf. And that's going to contain your browser profiles. Create a new browser profile. Create a new profile. First go to About, Profiles. Then go to Create your new profile. There's a couple ways you can do this. you can copy the downloaded browser profile to the actual folder, as we see here. Copy it to /home/username/.librewolf. And then what you can do is you'll be able to go next. Then what you can do is this part's pretty important because the start I2P script relies on the profile name. Otherwise, you'd have to edit it. But if you don't want to edit anything, you just want to copy these files and get going, well, then you would do I2P browsing. And make sure you capitalize the B. And here's what else you can do. Since you moved the browser profile folder to your /home/user/.librewolf, then what you can do is you can actually go to choose folder, and then you would select the folder that has been copied from the repository, and it'll automatically set up all of your settings for you, including the proxying and everything else. In fact, I also have it set up so that when you open it, for instance, let's open it again, and then I'll show you what I mean. I set it so it forces you, whether it's a right or a left click, it's going to force you, if you use the browser profile that I'm sharing, it'll automatically force you to pick either no container or I2P tab. Now, one thing I like to do is use I2P tab, which is pre-installed in this browser profile, so you don't have to worry about any kind of setup. And it allows you to label your I2P tabs. And that just is an easy way to label them, even though, this is an entirely compartmentalized browser profile away from your other browsing activities. It's important to recognize which tab is an I2P tab. And that way you don't accidentally leak different types of information on your normal direct connection browsing. I suggest using this tip just so that you can label your I2P browser tabs. And that way you don't make a mistake and enter information in those browser tabs that you don't want going over the ClearNet. And I added a few bookmarks here, including the privacy guide that I came up with the other day for Data Privacy Day. And I also have added some other ways to support the channel. So if you're interested in that, I have things in extras. There's, I even offer core boot laptops to the US. Currently, I do this out of necessity, to support this work and make it more sustainable long term. The channel's pretty suppressed, so it's not, as well promoted as I would have liked, but, with these kinds of extras and commissions, I can offer useful services that help protect your privacy. And if you're unaware, there have been backdoors discovered in BIOS, and that's one reason I'm really serious about my x86 computers running core boot. And there's also other places you can get a core boot laptop, like Mini Free, for example, who is in the United Kingdom, I believe, and that supports her work on Libre Boot. So, you have options out there. But I did want to mention some ways you can support this channel and the blog as well. I like to make everything possible public. The only times that posts aren't completely public is if I say something, that may be a private message to people that I don't necessarily want scraped and reposted, or sometimes techniques that, wouldn't be sustainable if they were publicized. So sometimes there's just some extra tips. But for the most part, I put everything and make everything public, because that's really the goal here, is to make everything public. But, the channel hasn't grown in the way that I had hoped, but I'm still going to continue with content and offer these types of extras and commissions. So for people who are interested, there are options out there to support the channel. With that out of the way, once we set up our make sure, as I mentioned, you select the directory of the copied I2P browsing profile, and you set start I2P to be executable with the chmod +x command. And if you have any questions on any of this, please do leave a comment, or you can even write me an email. I am always open to hearing from people. So if you want to write an email to me and find out if you're setting this up wrong, email righttoprivacy@tutanoda.com. And so that is all you need to do to have this running. It's a pretty easy setup. My goal was to make it as easy as possible for everyone. And I do want to mention that, for the most part, you'll still want to use Tor Browser. This is not a substitute in any way for Tor Browser. And something to keep in mind with I2P is it doesn't have an official browser. And the way Tor helps protect you online, one of the ways is through different types of browser fingerprinting, in that Tor Browser is ideally made to look like users are as close to the same as possible. Not the case with I2P in the current form, where there's no official browser. So you'll have several different browsers and the associated fingerprints with I2P users, which could stand out. So that's something to keep in mind. So I do recommend you still use Tor Browser. This is not a substitute. It's just another tool in our toolbox. And diversity is going to be the key to your anonymity online. Diversity in technique, diversity in tools, all of these things make you less of a sitting duck, because changes are less predictable. And that's a strategy we use, along with other things like compartmentalization. The diversity of tools and techniques are what's going to protect you and your human rights online. And so if you have questions on this, by the way, also have this I2P icon that I added. So when you download the repository, you're going to get all the files you need. And simply follow this video and you will have a working I2P browser button right on your desktop. And to set this, save this to a location. Of course, if you cloned the directory, the whole repository, you'll have it already. And what you'll need to do at that point is you'll simply right-click on this. Once again, go to Properties, and then what you need to do is you'll need to select the actual picture. And when you click on that, you'll be able to select it, and you'll have the actual icon set to look like this. Make sure to check out the blog. Like I said, pretty much everything there is completely public. I have a whole privacy guide. This allows you to prioritize things. The truth in the matter is, if you want privacy, anonymity online, you can follow the rules on this guide and have a very reasonable level of privacy anonymity online. I talk about different techniques that should be prioritized, and using Tor where possible. Use I2P. Remember, diversity is going to be our big strength in this, in anonymity. Use front ends where possible. I have guides on all of this, and these are all completely public guides. Everything here completely public. Check it out. Have a bunch of guides everyone should follow to maximize their security and privacy online. So make sure to subscribe to the blog. It's completely free to follow the blog. You can get some important tips and information by email. And I will be back later with more on how to protect your human rights online, privacy, and tech tips.